Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Virtual Sessions where we feature the best DJs, producers, and industry professionals from around the world. I'm your host, Darren, and right now I'm sitting in the virtual studios in Seattle, Washington, and coming in all the way from Fort Worth, Texas, we have Skeeter with Groove Cruise-Whet Travel and Wet Foundation today on the show. How you doing today, Skeeter?
I'm doing amazing, Darren. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Well, I know you are. You got a lot of awesome stuff coming up. We're going to dive right into this because I've heard about what you've been doing for years. Friends of mine talking about it. One of my friends out of Arizona, because we just launched a division of our company down there, Brooke Brown with Media, talks about these
Awesome.
groove cruises as one of the most phenomenal experiences. And I looked at the lineups. I'm like, and I've been seeing Anthony Atala. I mean, I love the guy. He just posts about these things all the time. But these are huge, like massive floating big parties, but you also do excursion stuff. Tell us a little bit about the Groove Cruise history and your involvement with the whole process, the whole mechanism that is now this awesome thing.
Yeah, I mean, the history is, we're going on, this is our 18th year, so we'll be celebrating our 19th anniversary coming up in January for Groove Cruise Miami, and it'll be our 35th sailing, so Cabo will be our 34th, and yeah, it basically all started with Jason, who's the owner, founder, and CEO of Wet Travel. Got together, 100 friends, and didn't know anyone in the music industry, didn't know anyone in the travel industry, and got a group together and went on a cruise ship through the first Groove Cruise ever, and kept doubling it, and eventually chartered his first ship, which was the birth of the full ship of Groove Cruise. And we are going on 34 and 35, and we'll be celebrating our 20th anniversary in 2024. So it's super exciting. It is the world's largest floated music festival, and we're the only ones who currently sail from both the east and west coast. So super exciting stuff.
I've only been on a cruise one time. I was at a winter music conference in 2009. It wasn't a Groove Cruise, and I didn't know what to expect going on this ship, and how inclusive, how there's so much to do on the boats. Is it called a boat? It's not called a boat because if it's over the 50 feet, it's called a yacht. Well, these are massive steamliner. Like, how many people
Super.
can it take? These are super, like, multi-level theaters, restaurants, casinos. Do you guys get to go out in international waters? And did the casinos get to turn on during your things as well?
Yeah, casinos. Yeah, everyone's in the casino. We have the casino has actually become one of the more popular venues now. There's always the bigger artists tend to flock towards there because it's got the best energy, the best vibe. It's like that house party vibe that I used to go to, and everyone loves it. But yeah, I mean, it's a cruise. 24/7 food. Gambling, the shops, everything just 96 or 120 hours of nonstop dance music, no matter where you go, on 9 different stages. I promise you, you'll never look at a regular cruise the same again. And if you like regular cruises, you'll never be able to go on a normal cruise again. We
Well,
kind of ruined
yeah, the one
that.
I got on, it was we noticed it was a little bit more family friendly. Like it was like, okay, cool. There wasn't a lot of younger people on, and I don't think that our cruises really, they aren't really geared towards a younger demographic for the most part. And yours are, I was reading your typical age is obviously 21 and up, but you're looking at,
Mhm.
20 something. I think the median age, I think you said that's on the site, is 31 years old.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, so our core demographic makes up of, I would say, between that 26 to 35-year-old range, just young professionals looking to have a great weekend. It's something that we pride ourselves on as our community, our GC community, the GC fam, we call them. We don't call them guests or fans, they're captains, they're what steer the ship. We literally gear everything that we do based on our captain engagement. So our lineups, the experiences, the destinations, the ships we use, artists we book, pretty much everything goes towards what the captains want to see and do. And we have several of these captains who have literally been with Jason since the very beginning, which is super cool. And now their family has come on Groove Cruise. Their kids are now starting to come on Groove Cruise, and it's just such a awesome dynamic. It's probably one of the best, fan bases that I've ever experienced. It's just a family. Like it's the only place I think you can go to where you can go truly alone and leave with 1,000 friends and family, because that's literally what we embody is just one big happy family, the largest family reunion at sea, and it's always good times.
That's one of the things I saw as one of the mission statements on the site, that you're never going to be alone, and there's always something for somebody to do pretty much 24/7. I was like, it just sounds so amazing. It's there's no downtime. But I also noticed on the site there is there was something that said under the travel link. I saw the survival guide. Was that something that kind of like came about? Like, okay, we need to start prepping people for this marathon of events, and we want to make sure everyone's taken care of and has a great time. And
so I'm not quite sure when the inception of the survival guide happened, but it is something that everyone looks forward to every year. It's literally from A, B, C, D, all the way to Z of what to expect on Groove Cruise, what to do on Groove Cruise, what you should be looking to do, what you should be looking to experience. And has everything from like how to get to the port, how to check in online, how to look at the schedule, which artists to catch and see, and where to see them and when to see them. The artist activities. One thing that like we are just completely different than other music festivals is one of the only places that you have these intimate experiences with these artists, DJs, performers, producers, like from anywhere from mini golf with Jeffrey Sartorius to actual tequila bar crawling, and I mean crawling, with Roger Sanchez and Kristen Knight, and hot wing challenge with Trivecta, bingo with Claude Von Stroke. There's so many different activities that you can do with these artists, to where it's not like that stuffy, meet and greet where it's like, hey, hug, picture, sign, and then you move on. This is like a real experience that you can share, and a memory that you're going to take on forever with this artist. And it almost just, it bridges that barrier between fan and artist, and it actually is more of a, an experience to where you could bond and like develop some kind of relationship. And a lot of these artists love that, because it's something that they don't get from a normal festival. It's not somewhere where, they can't walk through the crowd. I mean, you can literally have a slice of pizza with Marcus Scholes at 3:00 in the morning, and you're not bothering them. You're like, hey, can I just join you for a slice of pizza? Cool. Great set. Have a good night. It's so like organic and not forced at all. And that's just something that's really just super cool.
I was talking with I can't remember who it was a couple weeks ago, interviewing somebody who does the Groove Cruises. I'll come up with the name in a second. And they said they were sitting there at the table, and somebody came over and said, "Hey, let's do a pop-up set. I'm gonna go get my DJ gear from here. I'm just gonna set up over here." And they just did a pop-up set somewhere and started playing right there. Like totally spontaneous. Nobody knew, and they were totally like wasted, having fun. And everyone's like, "Whoa, pop-up set!" That kind of vibe, that kind of spontaneity is very attractive, because you're right. At the festivals, you're kind of in with that. You're in as a participant. You're not in as part of the overall show. It sounds like you're making the participants, the guests, part of the show.
So that's
interactive
that could be
experience. I think that
can be broken down in multiple ways. Like we are definitely always known for the renegades. Claude Von Stroke took over the casino last year for 5 hours, and like, the artists that were supposed to play were just all about it. They're like, oh my God, yeah, this is awesome. Like I'm playing with him, like I'm playing inside him. And, the pop-ups, Deep Fake do like this Roman renegade where they'll just pop up in a random place in the ship and just start throwing down. A Green Velvet's another one who just kind of pops up here and there and will play these random sets, like places you don't experience. Like when you like mention artists, are always like, main stage festivals, like big production, big speakers, lights, lasers. but like I said, a lot of these artists love the smaller, intimate venues to where they can play like they don't normally play. They can play how they want to play. And it's the same thing with the with our captains. Is one thing that we really pride ourselves on is the open decks, and we actually open up and give DJ slots to our fans and the captains who come on the cruise.
I saw something about that on the site.
Yeah.
Isn't it a contest that you do?
We have two different ones. So we do an undiscovered DJ contest, which we recently went from doing the remixes and then the sets to more of an online presence to where we're doing it via Twitch now. But the open decks is more so obviously when you're programming 120 hours across 9 different stages for 5 days, there's going to come a point in time where you're like, all right, I don't know who to put in this spot. So we create these open deck slots. Some of them are silent disco. Some of them are like, the earlier sets at the atrium, the pool, the theater. Some might be literally right after, the Barclays, the Green Velvets, the, Trifectas. It's just a matter of when we have these lulls, if you will. And instead of killing the stage and just ending it, we do these open deck slots to where we can give, the captains a chance to play. And some of the DJs that I book on our lineups, I heard them for the first time on open decks. Wow. And I was just like, wow, this is really good. So that's kind of like where we came up with the undiscovered DJ contest, and also in lieu of the open decks, just to give, those undiscovered DJs and producers the opportunity to play at a big event on a main stage to where they actually have that platform to reach, hundreds, if not thousands of people.
Yeah. I love the fact you also mentioned you use silent disco. I am a huge proponent of that technology. I have headsets here in the Seattle area. We do events. We're actually upgrading from silent disco to what we're going to start calling silent concert, and start doing what we want to get into and doing silent festivals. We're talking 2,000, 3,000 headsets. We have 7-channel headsets. So,
wow.
Yeah, nobody in the world has 7-channel headsets. And I was just doing an interview with a DJ by the name of Bisson, and he was talking about how people don't like it because it's just silent. You don't feel any bass. And I went and whipped out my device here that we can couple with our headsets. You ever hear of haptic speaker technology?
Yep.
Put one of these things on, and our headsets connect right into it. You start feeling the bass, and as you switch the channel, it goes with you, and you can walk 1,000 feet away. Cool. Yeah, so the transmitter of the headsets powers the haptic speaker in this device here. So you can still kind of feel that bass shaking your body. And when people try it, they get the puppy dog effect. And, they take it off and they're like, oh, I can't feel it anymore. Give it back. I want to put it back on. And it's pretty cool. Pretty cool technology.
Yeah, that's super cool.
Yeah. So we can talk more about that offline, though.
Yeah, for sure.
But, okay. So Groove Cruise Cabo coming up roughly 14 days, 15 days from now. It's on the 19th, right? Sales on the 19th? Right.
Yeah, 15 days away.
It has been called Ascension 2.0. Tell us what the 2.0 is for.
So we came up with this idea prior to COVID. We've always kind of had like a theme with every one of our events, and the Groove Cruise Cali 2020 was going to be our largest group cruise yet. It was on the Norwegian Bliss, which is like 4,500 passengers, and it was going to be 3 days, and it was on track to sell out within the first month of us putting it on sale. And that was branded the Ascension, because that was the first time in 2 years that we were returning to a cruise ship on the West Coast. And it was kind of like that. Everyone wanted the Groove Cruise West Coast to come back. And so we came back, and, it was kind of ascending, kind of the phoenix rising from the ashes, because we did Groove Island the year prior to that, which was another like just experience that we just had to do. It was, we took over Catalina Island off the coast of LA, and it was during the peak of Fire Festival and all the documentaries when we launched this. So it was dubbed Fire Festival 2.0 across every single like blog, news outlet, everywhere. And I mean, we did it. We, nearly rented every helicopter, Airbnb, hotel, yacht slip everywhere, and did this 4 day immersive experience on Catalina Island, utilizing, the casino there, which is the Grand Ballroom and Casino, which is absolutely stunning, and Descanso Beach Club. And it's one thing that we just excel at is we've done over like 150 of these island destination events now, so it's just like second nature to us. But Ascension 2.0 is basically us coming out of COVID finally, and being able to do cruises again. And we started with Orlando. We did about 3,000 people in Orlando during the second wave of that last strain of COVID that kind of took over the country. Like literally the week before we were sailing, we started getting phone calls like, "Hey, I'm testing positive. I can't come. And we're just like, what is going on? But we were still able to sail with 3,000 people. No COVID cases on the ship, which was amazing. And it was just one of those moments where you're just like, wow, like this really happened. And prior to us setting sail for that, we decided to put Groove Cruise Cabo on sale, and Arise, Ascension 2.0, returning to Cabo for the first time in 6 years because we got derailed by a hurricane in 2018. We had to go to Ensenada instead. So that's kind of like, the main story behind the Ascension is just being able to return to these experiences and coming from, the depths of between the hurricane and not doing the West Coast sailings and then COVID and then, the recession and pretty much everything that has been dampening the music industry over the last 3 years, it's finally coming to a head. And here we are 15 days away from returning to the West Coast, which is super exciting.
And, the whole production, everything you do there, it's not just about the partying. There is a philanthropic kind of side to this. Can you tell our DJ audience about that side where you actually take some of these, the community captains program, for example, and how you recommend, tell us about that program. Because I think that's amazing.
So there's
giving back.
There's always been, there's always been a philanthropic part of Groove Cruise. It's something that Jason really holds near and dear. So the inception of Whet Foundation essentially started because he almost felt like the money that he was donating to other organizations wasn't getting to the end user, which was, these orphanages, lesser, organizations that need help, and just he couldn't physically put hands on what the money was going to. So he created Whet Foundation, which is our 501c3, and developed Destination Donation, which basically helps us ensure that we're leaving every place that we visit a little bit better than when we first arrived there. So for Cabo, is we're actually working with the Salomar Foundation and Casa Hogar in association with Heart for Cabo. What we're going to be doing is basically we're going to go and, there's 3 different age groups that we'll be interacting with, but essentially we're going to be, feeding them, doing activities with them. We have 2 really amazing artists, Nino Booney and Kid Wiseman, who are going to interact with the children and do like, Nino Booney's going to do like these coloring canvases for them to paint on. And Kid Wiseman might be doing a mural with the kids where he's going to trace it out and let the kids fill it in. So it's really cool, just interactive stuff with the kids between, I want to say the ages are between like as early as 1 and as old as, 13 or 14 years old. But we're going to bring like backpacks with school supplies, things that they need. We're going to be, we're working with Heart for Cabo into building a home for a single mother who was homeless. And, it's something just being able to do between our Undiscovered DJ contest and our captains themselves donating. We're able to do things like this with them. And, it's just the first time I ever experienced it, like I couldn't help but like shed a tear because you really don't realize how, even like if you feel like you're having the worst life, like it humbles you up so quick when you see things like this. And it just really is just so moving, and just little things like, giving them like a backpack full of school supplies, and it's just like their eyes light up. It's like, you just gave them like everything. So yeah, it's just something that like it's actually been voted one of the best experiences on Groove Cruise is when people do these trips. And we, doubled almost in size every single year that we've done it. I mean, it started off with 10 volunteers way back when. In 2020, which was our largest group yet, we had about 70 volunteers. And then for this one, we're looking to have our biggest one. I think we're going to hit 100 to 120 volunteers go into this organization to help with various aspects of it. And then, aside from the destination donation and the charitable aspect of that, is Wet Foundation, and a lot of this, started during COVID, but we've been able to kind of grow what the foundation really is. And our biggest focus for Cabo specifically is going to be mental health, which is something that is so close to our hearts right now, and in the music industry in general. Just no one's talking about it. And so we have partnered up with When the Music Stops and Nino Bunny as well. And we're going to be holding mental health panels with artists and guests and captains who've had experiences with these challenges, and just kind of create this open dialogue and just say it's okay. It's okay not to be okay. So being able to talk about it in a comfortable, safe space, and just open up. And that's kind of like our big focus, is just being able to talk about it, because that's the first step, being able to say that you're not okay. And we personally, as Groove Cruise, we lost our production manager, who succumbed to it, a few months ago. So we're really doing this because it has hit so close to home, and Jason's been affected by this, I think, more than anyone. And this kind of all goes back to what we started during COVID. Was obviously cruises weren't happening, music festivals weren't happening. So instead of kind of licking our wounds and saying we might not have jobs tomorrow, we decided to make sure that we kept our community alive, which is the most important thing to us, is our captains and our community, because without them, you can't do what we love to do. Like it just doesn't. Like we have no captains, we don't have an event, we don't have a company, we don't have jobs. Like everything that we do is for our captains. So we created what was called our virtual sail away, which is we actually created a virtual group cruise. So we curated lineups. We had 20 to 40 artists donate their time. Like literally donate their time for these events. They were 96 to 120 hours, depending on who ended it out. We had Doc Brown play for like 33 hours one time, which at that point, no one had ever played for 33 hours straight on Twitch. I mean, our fans were ordering him pizza to his house so you could eat. Like we were doing bathroom break. It was so incredible. And that's kind of like what made it so cool and unique, is it wasn't pre-recorded. Like it was all live. Like everything that you saw when the artist had internet trouble, you were there to experience it. We throw some Benny Hill music on it, and our creative team and our director team did such a great job with this. And again, it was all of us just donating our time, but together we did 3 of these big, we called them virtual sailaways, and we were able to raise $55,000 and fulfill over 300 different grants. And we had our Wet Foundation panel read every one of these grants, and make sure that like it wasn't just someone looking to go get beer or something. Like it was really dire situations, and some of them were very heart-wrenching. And our production team, artists, our staff that were furloughed, our community, our captains, everyone that we were able to basically give back to. And it was just, again, it was just being able to help them during this time. And it was truthfully amazing. And the artists that donated their time, we've been able to make up for it in the long. And we've assured that, it may take us a little longer than we anticipated, but every single one that donated their time to us, we have booked for a Groove Cruise. And, we will continue booking them because of, that little sacrifice, and that just, the little things, that made someone, we were getting so many comments like, oh my God, I needed this. I needed this. I needed this. Like, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And it's just, again, it was just such a humbling experience, and definitely forced myself to learn how to live stream. So that's something that comes in handy today.
It was amazing watching, after doing a live streaming show for 10 years. And I just had this conversation in the last interview I did. And it's I would go to people and I'd say, oh, we're a live streaming DJ show and we're on Twitch. And they'd say, why would I want to watch a DJ online? And I'm like, well, have you ever listened to a radio show? Or have you ever listened to a free record, like a SoundCloud mix or something? Like, yeah. I go, okay, well, it's that, only it's live. And I go, okay. And they go, well, what's Twitch? And I'd say, well, okay, have you heard this company called, this thing called Google? This company called YouTube that's bought by Google and they do videos. Well, the same thing is kind of like Twitch is run by Amazon. And they're like, oh, so it's a pretty big deal. I'm like, well, considering that like 78 to 84% of all video game live streaming goes through it in the world, yeah, it's a pretty big deal, but nobody really, it wasn't on the radar for anyone. So it was awesome to see so many people jump into. It's kind of like if I was painting with watercolors and then the whole world jumped in and went into watercolors. And I'm like,
Right.
I told you watercolors is a really awesome medium, and everyone thought I was crazy because, they didn't want to do it. But, having your experience in doing that, we talked a little bit pre-show. Is that something we can expect from the future of Groove Cruise and Whet, to see some more kind of live streaming productions? Not 96 to 120 hour productions.
We're actually doing one this weekend with our partners, Neon Owl. So we're actually doing a charity live stream for Cabo, and again, we have artists from our lineup that will be donating their time to play live for the band, for the captains, and donate to our charity initiatives. But yeah, I started a series during the pandemic, and I want to get back to it, and that's kind of like one of my my BHAGs, my big hairy audacious goals, is to recreate what we started doing, which was called we called it Cabin Fever. And I basically would find these artists that were either just starting out, or they're not relatively well known, but like maybe I came across their SoundCloud, maybe they reached out to me through another artist, but I was giving them these 2-hour showcases to really like showcase their talent, because a lot of times when you're an artist coming up in the industry, you play a club show, you're told a certain way to play. It might not be your particular playing style. You might not be able to play out your originals. And if you are, producing, the biggest thing is doing your crowd test. Like, hey, how's this song going to hit? Like, and that kind of just gave everyone that, platform. For 2 hours, you literally can play how you want to play. And it caught on, because even bigger artists were like, yo, I want to play this 2-hour set. I want to do something that like, I might be a dubstep DJ, but I want to throw it down like a techno set, or I might play house music, but I'll throw down some bass music. So we started Cabin Fever, and we did 100 episodes. Then we got up to 100 episodes. We were doing it like 2 or 3 days a week, and we got up to like 100 episodes. And yeah, we just, obviously Groove Cruise Orlando came around, and we couldn't keep up with it. But yeah, we would bring it back for sure. And that's kind of like another thing with, sorry to cut you off, but like, that's another thing with Twitch too. It's funny you mentioned earlier when you were talking about how Twitch was like relatively unknown, and then it became this thing. A lot of artists that you see on main stages now, like before the pandemic and before Twitch, like they were those, opening DJs. And I think that basically working with their community and building that community during the pandemic, and doing their weekly shows, like grew their careers to like something that like playing club shows would have taken years to do. Like it really launched a lot of careers very quickly.
I have DJs that they don't hit the high numbers, but they are literally making a living DJing with their audience base, and he'd be like, okay, I'm doing a fundraise hype train to get this virtual reality headset or get this new piece of
Yep.
gear in the studio. Help me out, and he will do it. He has his Patreon set up, and his fans come through, you know, and it's an awesome way that, or one of my DJs, he says, I'll wait, I'll get to play the club here in town, might have 500 people in it, and I might get once every 6 months or once a year, I might be able to open set, and of course, 10 o'clock when doors open, the club isn't usually packed out and full of people, but they're playing the club.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, I'll go on your show and you'll have 600 to 900 people watching. And that's an audience that I'm now being put in front of. And that's huge to an artist and DJ. And the value of live streaming really, I think it saw the reality of it when everyone was on it, if that makes sense. Before, people didn't see the value in it.
I mean, yeah, if you look at essentially like some of these, like even for us, I mean, we relatively have a small fan base. I mean, in the grand scheme of music festivals, we do 2,000 to 4,000 people. That's 10% of what a normal festival does. So for us to be able to hit those 100 and 200,000 viewers during some of these live streams when we got featured on the Twitch page, it was like, that's 200,000 new faces that like didn't know who we were.
Yep.
And like, it was just, Twitch like really just kind of, even for us, brought a whole bunch of new eyes. And it was fun for me because I was able to test lineups without, having an event. So I was like, okay, cool. Like, let me throw this artist on. Let me see who goes into here. And so, I think Twitch was, under the circumstances, not the greatest, but at the same time, like, turning, lemons into lemonade. Twitch was a very valuable resource during the pandemic for us.
Do you think that you would ever do the future, looking at the future of events and how live streaming has kind of become a household thing now? Do you think you would ever do a pay-per-view kind of thing to your events? If the boats are full, 100% packed, or your events are 100% packed, would you say, we're going to open this up to doing a pay-per-view VIP experience?
That's a hard question to ask, because like I feel like that would almost kind of take away from the magic of what Groove Cruise is and the experience it is. Would we ever stream live from a cruise ship with Starlink? That's 1,000% possible, especially with Starlink going into a bunch of the cruise ships. So that is very much a future possibility for us to live stream directly from the cruise ship for those who can't make it. Will there be a paywall? I mean, that's yet to, that's still a little far out to decide on. But yeah, I think overall the magic that comes from Groove Cruise is definitely just the experience. A lot of people don't necessarily come for the lineups, although it is definitely it's definitely a plus. But it's definitely a possibility, especially the way things are going right now.
Now, what about in the downtime between all the events? Have you explored the metaverse and maybe creating something in the metaverse that could maybe be a virtual cruise liner that could have different rooms that people could go and tour around in? Has that experience been brought to the table? Or are you thinking about that?
We have definitely had some companies reach out to us about that. It's a possibility. Nothing concrete yet.
I asked that. It's like I've always liked to be on the forefront of the tip of emerging technologies, especially when it comes to media or social. I started years ago in public access television, then technology made it possible for us to get access to gear that we could go on to broadcast television with and exec some shows back to Fox and NBC. But then podcasting, the video iPod came out, which allowed us to have now videos in our pocket. Then a couple of years later, the iPhone comes out. So now we have internet access in our pocket, and surrounding that was social media, and then live streaming came into effect, and all these distribution means. Now we have the metaverse as another branding experience or experience that we can create that's not a 2D world off of a laptop screen or looking at a phone that we can get into. That and augmented reality are coming into place. Facebook has their glasses. Apple has their glasses. We know Google's probably going to come out with something. Microsoft's probably going to come out with something. There's other companies creating these augmented reality glasses, and we're going to have that mixed reality, in-person reality experience. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm always asking people, what's your take on metaverse? What are you looking to do there? Or are there plans for that? Now, of course, I'm not on an NDA with you. Don't give away any secrets. Doesn't sound like you got much in the competition kind of realm what you got, but I think that's just a question that should be on the forefront of everyone's mind. It's kind of like thinking back, oh, do I need a website? No, I have a MySpace.
Yeah,
Or do
essentially.
I need a this? Oh, I got this. And what's that next step that people are going to take, that next launching platform? So we'll see how it goes. I'm excited to see where Meta takes us. And I shouldn't, sorry. Let me reverse that. Where the metaverse takes us, not Meta itself, because Meta is now
It'll
Facebook.
definitely be interesting. I know there's a lot of artists that are doing a lot of stuff with the pop-up NFTs and the augmented reality and yeah, I love watching the technology, grow and see it utilized in in the industry space. So yeah, it's definitely something to explore.
And also something else that just came up. I know we were talking about the cruises and everything earlier. I want to get back to this. The Miami lineup was just announced a few weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
How? I mean, all of this sounds like it must just be such an exciting time for you and your team. Kind of like, I want to say coming back to life, because it sounds like you stayed breathing, you stayed alive, you kept the captains engaged, you kept your community engaged. Do you get a chance to attend every single one of these events? Are you on site for every single one of them, or is the schedule allow you
Yeah,
to?
that's not an option for me not to be on site.
Yeah.
Aside from my day-to-day duties with Wet Travel as the managing director, on the ship itself, one of my core duties is I'm the head of artist relations and artist hospitality, so I'm
Okay.
always there. So yeah, I attend every single one of them, including the one that I volunteered on way back when before I started working with them. So yeah, I'm on site for every single one.
Awesome. I mean, it just, we're getting ready now. Again, having not being able to do the red carpet stuff and go and travel and meet artists or go to shows. We're really excited as the DJ sessions to start traveling again and getting out there. And we definitely want to be a part of these groove cruises in some way, shape, or form. If it's
For sure.
attendee, if it's press, we'll talk off show about that. But,
Yeah.
it just sounds like a phenomenal party. I think one of the things that you mentioned, I've been a part of a lot of meet and greets and, a lot of press rooms, green rooms. The artist comes in, do my bit for 15 minutes and bounce out. They're doing their press junket. I think something that appealed to me so much is you could be sitting there eating a piece of pizza with Marcus Schultz at 3 a.m. He's like, yeah, what's up? That's
Exactly.
an experience. I don't know where you could get an experience like that at any other event or anything that's going on. And these lineups
Yeah.
are amazingly amazing.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I don't even know where to start. I mean, and it's how many artists play on the course of it? Because I mean, you have
so
hundreds of
so
artists.
for Cabo, I want to say that we are around 100 plus artists for Cabo when it's all said and done. And I think with Miami, we're at around 65. And that's just because Cabo is an extra day.
I mean, Claude Van Stroke, Gareth Emery, Greenbelt, and all these people have to be on the boat. Or wait, do you actually bring them in on helicopter and fly them on the boat and fly them off? Do they do that? You guys do
You're gonna have to come and find out.
that? No, I was just thinking, I mean, that would just, this is one of the most amazing parties I've ever seen. And then now the West Coast is back. That's super exciting. I'll be at ADE. Unfortunately, I wanted to make this one, and super congratulatory to this Jamie and her team that got us connected.
Yeah, for sure.
Been working with Jamie and them for a while now, and we have a good relationship. So you're in good hands with them.
Yeah, I've known Jamie and I got really close during the pandemic. She was setting up a lot of things for us, so we definitely developed a good relationship during COVID.
Awesome. Well, is there anything else you want to let our DJ Sessions fans know about before I let you go?
No, I mean, if you haven't heard about Groove Cruise, go check us out. I know Darren's going to pop up the websites here in a little bit, but we do have. I want to say we're down to about 60 rooms left for Cabo, so we are almost sold out. And I want to say Miami is pretty near sold out. I think we're at like 95% now.
Wow.
As soon as we released the lineup, it kind of opened up the floodgates. Um, but yeah, check us out. Come see and experience what everyone's talking about.
Definitely. Best place to go for that would be
Boom, there it is.
GrooveCruise.com. Check it out. And also definitely, I mean, there's a lot of information at wettravel.com and also wetfoundation.org. And if you want to see those, you just rewind the show because, you can do that because this show will be up soon. We'll include all the links in the bio and information on the show. But, Skeeter, thank you so much for coming on the DJ Sessions today. We're definitely going to be following up with you as we do with everyone that comes on the show. We like to stay in touch with them every 6 months or so. And I mean, it sounds like you got stuff going on all the time. So there's always going to be something to talk about, whether it's with Groove Cruise-Whet Travel or Wet Foundation.
In 6 months from now, we'll be, holy crap, hold on. 2, 3. Okay, 6 months from now. I was gonna say, wait, will I be returning from Miami? No, that's 3 months from now. Jeez. Wow, that's coming up too. Anyways, 6 months from now, we'll be definitely full into marketing our 20th anniversary, which is going to be the biggest announcement we will ever make. So that's going to be exciting.
Does the Miami cruise? You said 3 months from now, so will that be
January?
And Winter Music Conference is in February, correct?
March.
Oh, it is in March. Okay, I got those. I thought it was earlier than that, but you're right. It is in March. Okay, cool. Awesome. I'd love to hear more about that 20th anniversary event. We'll definitely keep our ear to the ground. Just because I say 6 months, doesn't mean it has to be 6 months. If you want to talk to me next week, I can get you another interview next week if something awesome gets released. Well, awesome. Next week. It'd have to be after I get back from Arizona, and then 80. But anyways, I think you get the point. I'd love to stay in touch with you and follow up with you on everything you have going on. And Skeeter, it's been a pleasure having you on the show today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. On that note, don't forget to go to our website, thedjsessions.com. Find us on Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all out there. It's at thedjsessions.com. And you know what? We have so much more on our website, 600 news stories a month. We got exclusive interviews, exclusive mixes. We got our own mixes. We have our virtual reality nightclubs. We have our mobile app, but you can find out all that at our website, thedjsessions.com. Let a friend know about it, thedjsessions.com. I'm Darren. That was Skeeter. He's coming in all the way, or was coming in all the way from Fort Worth, Texas. I'm coming in from the virtual studios in Seattle, Washington for the DJ Sessions presents the virtual sessions. And remember, on the DJ Sessions, the music never stops.